What's going on? What's going on? It's your man Mal C219 TV Midwest Connected, man. Chiefs for life. But we talk about all things life. We want to bring you back to episode of The Transition, man. On the Transitional Podcast, we like to put a little meat on your head. And let's not forget, baby, GoFundMe is not life insurance, man. So please put some money on your head before somebody else do. And in the case of Diddy, man, we have to say what goes up must come down. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And one of the biggest transitions in life is, coming from nothing to something. And then that transition back down from something to nothing. And our boy, the diddler, the dishter, you know what I'm saying? P. Diddy, you know what I'm saying? Take that, it's what's about to happen. You feel what I'm saying? But drop something in the comments if y'all think Diddy gonna go alone. Me personally, I think Diddy about to pull a Nino. It's bigger than me. You feel what I'm saying? It's bigger than me. And what we got right here at Exhibit A, I want y'all to tap in. If you got a minute, sit back. And, like I say, Teach for Life, man. Let's talk about all things life. But through these, we all learn lessons. You know what I'm saying? And everybody probably ain't into freak offs or things of this nature like that. But at the same time, if you into any felonious activity, understand when they go down to this magnitude, you lose a lot of friends, you lose a lot of support, you lose a lot of money. And right now, these asses is tight. Butts is tight because they is wondering what he gonna say, who he gonna say about it. So anyway, we finna go right here, man, to Exhibit A. We got a little something right here. What we have is the DA. You know what I'm saying? We had the DA that's finna break down the charges. They say they finna break down the charges, let everybody know what's going on. And, we finna let y'all rock. Let me know what you think, man. Drop something in the comments. Just, I'm glad to be back. And, we finna get back to this, man. You know what I'm saying? We finna get back to it. But let's see what they got to say about this, because this is finna get interesting.
Some breaking news.
Yeah, we do.
Commercial sex.
We're going to listen to this press conference. That's Damian Williams, U.S. District Attorney from New York City.
That's Damian Williams, U.S. District Attorney from New York City. Damian Williams. Man, he looked like my man from FUBU.
On the commercial section. The latest with Diddy.
The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized...
Now that right there, ladies and gentlemen, for those that know the streets and those that know what that time brings with playing with them things, it ain't the fact of the guns. The defaced, which means shaved serial numbers, more than likely, allegedly, but I'm sure defaced means somebody that's tried to... That's a charge in itself. So we already looking at 2 years right there. Now, who's what and who's possession, that's another thing. But the gun charge for the feds, that's what T.I. had a gun charge. They already at a 2-year minimum. Let's proceed.
Evidence of the freak-offs. Electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims.
Boom. Now that right there, we're going to let them cook, but see, critical. Y'all remember they was getting all the videotapes. They was getting everything that they needed. That's why they've been letting this cook for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Puff probably knew what was coming. He probably was lining his paper up, because I guarantee you, drop something in the comments, I guarantee you, he done got money lined up. He ready to get out. He finna take somebody down. Now the freak offs the tapes, they got people on tapes. I'm telling you, the industry finna be shook, man. This might be one of the this bigger than Donnie Brasco right here, man.
And they seize cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs. More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
Cases and cases of lube and KY. He said they used to supply the rolls with. If you go to a puff party, they already got the KY and the lube in the room. You don't even know it. That's what's crazy. You at a party that's already pre-lubed, that you get popped and pass out. Man, it ain't. Hey, drop something in the comments. Who been to a party where they already ordered KY? I mean, come on, man.
Together. Here are some of the items that we recovered during the searches.
This is what they discovered during the searches.
As you can see here, this is a drum magazine, large capacity, and it contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well, we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here, the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there.
That ain't but 2 years, though. Don't be surprised, people.
Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call 1-877-4-HSI-TIP. I want to.
Okay, can I hold y'all right there for a second? Now, see, this is when the feds get to playing chess. You feel what I'm saying? This is when the feds gonna play chess, bro, because it's said by every man for themselves now. And it's been alleged that Puffy has already offered a package. It's alleged, but they saying he didn't already offer them. His lawyer that came to him with a $50 million plea, but he can get out on bond. He already ready to put up 50 million. So you better believe if they give Puff any type of leeway, because he gonna have to give y'all 50 million, and I might give y'all some more people who was included in this, because it's bigger than me. See, but here's the thing, America. If Mr. Weinstein, Mr. Cosby, R. Kelly, who else? Them 3 that really, them the ones that really. But if they locked up Weinstein, nobody's safe. Now Puff just gonna open the door to, this is their way to get a lot of that wealth. See, it's like the stock market, man. All that money they pump into the black hands and to the blacks. This finna be what they say, 10 steps forward, 1 step back. Because do you know how many money and contracts and endorsements and things of that nature may get lost behind this from anybody that got any social, that tip line he just gave out? Oh, it's finna get ugly. Drop something in the comments, man, if y'all think Puff finna go out like Nino.
Express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them. I also want to thank.
Now, real quick, kudos to that. Anybody that has, mind you, we ain't heartless, we ain't none of that. You know what I'm saying? We feel for anybody that was a victim of the situation, or if they had something to go left and it wasn't, any victims of body that was hurt by any of these actions, our prayers go out to y'all. But whoever was just in the mix, there for 2 of them, I ain't go to 5, I went to 2. I wasn't in Atlanta, I was just in Miami. I don't know, they understand when they throw that sex trafficking in. Let me think about this. You think Puff went and picked them females up? How they get there? So if any of one of them females was in your entourage and you brought her to the party, guess what? you are complicit in trafficking her to the house. So now they gonna be like, if you don't want this charge, what do you know? Now I don't know nothing about Puff, but you know, Jay doing this one doing this. Watch what we say. Let's cook. Let them cook.
The dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York, they have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SCNY who have also provided tremendous assistance on this case. I'm deeply grateful for their continued work. And finally, I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from SCNY who are handling this case. Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson, Chrissy Slavic, Madison Smizer, and Mitzi Steiner, and their supervisors, Jamie Backleeper and Jacqueline Kelly. They are members of the Civil Rights Unit in our criminal division. We created the Civil Rights Unit when I became U.S. Attorney. I'm deeply proud of their work on this and so many other cases. I'll now take some questions.
They're going to make an example.
Aaron Katursky, ABC.
Thanks, Nick. Damien, thanks. The indictment describes aggressive, open, violent, hedonistic abuse that you say was recurrent and widely known. Why did it take law enforcement so long to intervene? How many women were victimized by Sean Combs and how many others were involved?
Look, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long. I think the better focus is on the fact that we are here and we are committed to making sure that justice is done. Next question.
Thank you. Julia Ainsley, NBC.
Thank you for doing this. You said we are not done and that Combs did not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
Janet Fisher, Newsday.
Don't go after some people.
What's the difference between the sex trafficking and promoting travel for the purpose of prostitution?
Well, there are different crimes with different elements. I don't think we should get into the nitty-gritty of the legal discussion right now, but the sex trafficking, we believe, they're all serious offenses, but the sex trafficking conduct carries some significant penalties, and we are.
That's just his way of saying we about to make an example of this motherfucker, and we want the charges gonna stick the most. They couldn't get him for pimping because he wasn't coercing nobody, but the trafficking, they feel like he got you drugged and forced you, and by the way he was acting and getting his gorilla pimp on. So they went with the charge that was gonna stick. In other words,
we are gratified that we were able to bring that charge.
One more coercive than the other?
I'm not going to be able to get into that, but you can look it up. And yes, sex trafficking, especially when it involves coercion or force, is a very serious crime, and it carries significant penalties.
And that's going to be the question.
Good afternoon, Darla Miles, ABC7 New York. Thank you for this press conference and for the details. 2 questions. In context of this indictment and the information that was presented to the grand jury, are you able to clarify the number of victims? It's mentioned plural in the indictment, but can you specify the number of victims just for this particular indictment? And secondly, can you provide details about the alleged arson?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide either. The number of victims, you are correct. We are intentional in saying multiple. The details of the arson incident are limited to what we have in the indictment and also the detention letter that we filed, which contains more details than the indictment does at various points. But we don't have anything more beyond that. Next question.
Lynn Tran, CNN.
Drop some in the comments.
Are any of his accomplices or associates under investigation? And additionally, could he face any more charges?
So the investigation is ongoing. That means both as to him and to anyone else who we believe committed the crime with him. Next question.
Juliette Papa.
Hi, good morning from 1010 Wins. Any indication that some of the women or victims here were imprisoned in his residences? And did he have locations where he kept them? And they were not allowed to leave? And also, he's indicted here, although there were searches and raids in LA, Miami. Why in New York?
Well, I'm biased. I'm the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. I think that we have an outstanding track record of bringing some of the most impactful, sprawling, complex, difficult sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking, you name it. The Southern District of New York can do it. And so we're very proud of that. And so the scope and complexity of this investigation isn't something that we ran from. It's something that we embrace, and we will continue to do that. As to your question about whether he imprisoned anyone, all I can say is that, I mentioned this March 2016 incident where something was caught on video where a victim was attempting to flee, and there was violence that was associated with it.
Was that at the residence or a hotel?
That was at a hotel.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Does your office intend to seek remand, or are you reaching a bail package? And if you're willing, how would you contrast this with the R. Kelly case in EDNY in terms of the elements? Thanks.
So we will be seeking detention. We have filed a letter laying out our reasoning for seeking pretrial detention. I'm not going to be able to expand beyond what's in the letter, but it contains all of the reasoning, and it contains the law as well. There is a presumption of detention in a case like this, and we think that's warranted.
John Anise, New York Daily News.
Thank you. I was hoping to get some more detail about the searches of his residence, the guns, the cases of lubricant, and the videos. Where were they found amongst his residence? Were they all scattered around the houses in one place? I kind of wanted to just get a better picture of how that stuff was found.
Well, look, I think that some of the details that you're seeking are in the detention letter. So, for instance, some of the AR-15s, 2 of the 3 defaced AR-15s were found in his bedroom closet in Miami, broken down into parts along with magazines with ammunition loaded in them. So some of that detail is in the detention letter. Beyond that, I'm not going to be able to get into where other items were stored.
Ben Kochman, Post.
Hey, thanks for doing this. Your office was the office that had been prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein before he died in custody.
Right.
I have not read your detention memo yet. It's the first thing I'm going to do after this ends. But does the memo address, or is your office concerned with Combs' safety in custody, given what happened with Epstein?
So we are concerned with anyone's safety whenever they are detained prior to trial. It's part of our obligations to keep people safe as well. It's part of the criminal justice system. So, but I do not draw any sort of connection between.
See, like my man was asking, like, yo, do you think that my man is kind of asking about safe Puff? He ain't thinking about Puff killing himself, because he gonna have so much dirt on so many people. Will he make it to trial? That's what my man want to ask him. Why he beating around the bush? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you know what he's saying, man. You know exactly what he's saying, bro. Answer the question. You on trial?
Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and what may or may not happen to any other defendant while they are detained pre-trial. And of course, the decision whether to detain the defendant will be up to a judge. Our position is that pre-trial detention under the law and based on the facts of this case. And I'll leave it at that.
Are some of the prosecutors on this case some of the same prosecutors that had been handling that or that worked on the Maxwell case?
So I'm not going to get into the staffing. I will say that this team, this group of AUSAs, this incredible group has been working on this case around the clock, and they've had their hands full. Next question.
Gus Rosendale, NBC News.
Good morning, sir. Combs' attorney said that his client has been cooperative with investigators. He said that this morning. I was wondering if you would have a reaction to that.
Let me just say this. I think that generally and with increasing frequency, the word cooperative or cooperating has taken on tremendous elasticity, and it no longer really bears any relation to what the word means when we use it in a very specific context. So responding to lawful process, and the like does not qualify as cooperation when we use that term here.
Mike Sisak, AP.
Thanks. To that end, was there any discussion of Mr. Combs surrendering? I understand he was taken into custody at a hotel in Manhattan last night, and maybe that wasn't the plan. Can you elaborate on how that came about and why that was?
I'm not going to be able to get into any sort of operational details as to how he was taken into custody and when. He is in custody right now. He will be appearing in court later today.
Was there any discussion of him surrendering, given they claim he's cooperating?
I'm not going to be able to get into law enforcement tactics or operations.
You make such a big deal of the guns, but how come they're not charged outright or with obliterating Syria? That's
Well, I can't get into the charging decision. It is very meaningful to us that weapons were possessed, as we allege in the indictment. Part of the reason why this conduct was so pervasive and harmful was because victims and others didn't necessarily feel comfortable denying him his wishes, as we allege, because of the presence of firearms. I should leave it there.
Thanks. Last question, Jacob Shamison.
Jacob Shamsian, Business Insider. Thank you. Given that he's the sole defendant in this case and that you allege he's part of a conspiracy that involves members of his companies, do you anticipate a superseding indictment that bring allegations against other members of his companies or other co-conspirators as well?
I can't take anything off the table. Anything is possible. Our investigation is very active and ongoing. And I think a lot of you who cover this office know that when we say such things, that developments are certainly foreseeable. But I cannot predict those here today. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So he letting them know, man, when we say heads gonna roll, man. You know what I'm saying? And coming from the federale, the DA dude. So basically what he's saying is this. Everybody know what he's saying. You know what he's saying. There's other people involved. We finna get to the nitty gritty. We starting with Puff. Whoever Puff tell on, you going with him. If Puff don't, now, mind you, when people know what goes on when we do these things. Puff knew the consequences of his actions. We all grown out here. Everybody know that fake gorilla pimping, trying to be freak offs, and everybody know morally when you crossing that line. And over here on the transition, man, we like to give people meat on their head, you know what I'm saying? As you reach a certain era, the kids, anybody that's doing something in life, when you reach a certain point where you know what you're doing ain't really, but you still doing it. Power tripping, whatever. But at some point now, we all got to stay coming back to reality now. And the reality of this is, there's finna be some asses fried. Drop something in the comments. Who you think going with them? Who you think he finna tell them? Who you think more nervous than anybody, man? R.I.P. Rest in peace, Biggie, man. Biggie, one of my Gemini brothers. I'm so glad Big ain't got to deal with this, man. I hate that this, you know what I'm saying? But, man, if Pac was alive, he'd be clowning him. But, this finna get ugly, man. What's finna get ugly, too, is the fact that every charge they got brings somebody else along. Even now they saying companies. Because you got to think who was funding these parties. Which party going to be considered a freak off? Which party? See, the people there's all these lawsuits that's jumping out, they going to have to do more now than just sue for some money. You finna have to really drop some names. So-and-so was there. Now a lot of people finna get charged with all. You saw something going on that didn't say nothing, so you was aiding in the bed. Was you with this? She was with you first, and you it's finna be a lot of, so the industry finna get shook up on its tails right now. Everything good, look good to you, ain't good for you, man. So over here at the transition, man, Chiefs for Life from 219 TV, man, we just bringing the latest topics and trends through a Midwest lens with a little GI perspective on top. So I want y'all let me know, man, what y'all think. Drop something in the comments, man, because it's finna go down, you know what I'm saying? And it's finna touch. Hopefully it don't hit home, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully don't nobody was in that circle. Sometimes, you know, all money ain't good money. That's all we've been shown. That's what Kendrick is saying right now. All this is coming to fruition, man. So, you know, man, we back at it, man. It's Chiefs for Life, man. 219 TV, Midwest Connected, man. Tap into the transition. But let me know what you think, man. Drop something in the comments. We finna keep y'all tapped in as much as we can stay tapped in while we go through our own little personal transition. But this is, you know, we had to tap in for this because, you know, it's hot out here. We need some algorithm action. Let's get it popping, baby. Tap in.